Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very, very special installment of Radio Free Decipher.
We've got a real treat for everyone today. We've got a really good interview, a special interview with Richard Taylor, who, one of the head guys out at the Weta Workshops, who did a lot of the special effects work and costuming and all that stuff on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So
he has a lot of very cool stuff to share, so we aren't going to keep you very long before getting straight to that interview.
That's right.
We just want to remind everybody to look this coming Wednesday, the release date of the Minds of Moria boosters. Now, some of you, of course, are probably already digging into your starters that came out this Wednesday.
That's right, but the boosters come out on the 13th, so that's next Wednesday. Looking forward to getting out there and playing some games with Minds of Moria cards with a lot of people.
Yeah. Are all the cards up on the site yet?
They are, so people can go check all those out. So
very cool.
All right, let's get straight into the interview, shall we? Let's call Richard.
All right, everybody listening, we have Richard Taylor on the phone, live from New Zealand. How are you doing, Richard?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, it's good. We have a great treat at the moment because we were trying to think of what would be the neatest thing to thank everybody in the workshop and over at Weta Digital for the wonderful awards that we won at the BAFTAs and these great nominations for the Oscars. And you've got the option of T-shirts, maybe throwing a party, maybe buying everyone a bottle of wine. But we thought that a far cooler thing to do would be to bring Ray Harryhausen and his wife to New Zealand for a week, to spend a week in the facility with us. So yesterday was their first day with us, and we took them through the workshop and showed them everything, and it was just one of those rare and wonderful moments, a truly wonderful thing.
I am a huge Ray Harryhausen fan from way back, all the Sinbad stuff, and oh man, I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah, well, it's very rare that that the myth of the man or the woman lives up to the reality, but Tanya and I went and visited Ray and Diana at their house about 15 years ago now. Then we went back again a couple of years ago and spent a very pleasant day with them, and it's so lovely now to be able to return the favour. Both of them, him and Diana, his wife, are both amazing people, and it's a great thing for us to be able to have him in our company.
Wow, yeah, that is a really cool treat that you've done for your team. Absolutely. Well, for those of the people that are listening today, why don't you give us a little background on exactly what it is that Weta did for the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Okay. Well, we consider ourselves to be greatly blessed by the fact that we were invited to work on this film. I'm into my 6th year now of working on Lord of the Rings. Our company, Weta, has been in existence for about 8 years, and Tanya and myself, my partner Tanya Roger, and myself set up our effects company about 15 years ago. So almost a third of our working career, or just over a third of our working career, has been spent on this film. To that end, we looked after the design, the fabrication, and the on-set operation of the special makeup effects and prosthetics, the armour, the weapons, the creatures, the miniatures, and the gore and injury rigs. For the first 2.5 years, I supervised the design process of all of those departments, and then as we got closer to pre-production, we began manufacturing. Over the 3.5 years of manufacturing, we produced 48,000 separate things out of the Weta Workshop for the film. We did over 10,000 facial appliances, 1,800 sets of hobbit feet, 1,800 body suits, 2,000 weapons, 1,000 suits of armour. We built 68 miniatures, some of them as big as the biggest sets that have been built in New Zealand to that date. So at every level, it was a massive undertaking.
If you could only see our jaws hanging open right now.
Well, but never to the point that it was unpleasant. It's obviously been hard. To look after one department on one film is task enough, but to look after 5 departments on the 3 most complex movies ever made has certainly been tricky, but always a pleasure, always driven by the fact that you know that you're working on something that's completely worthy of the effort. we had almost a mantra in the workshop that I would share with the guys. This is not filmmaking, this is legacy making. If you cannot imagine sitting your grandchild on your lap one day in the future and remembering this moment fondly, then you're not worthy of the work. And with that attitude, we were able to raise the people's abilities and standards and enthusiasm to a height that was worthy of Tolkien's written word.
I think to hear the feedback that the movie has received, it's clear that message came through. A lot of people are, they recognize that it was done with love and attention.
Yeah, a lot of people think that our highest accolade must be through the winning of things like BAFTAs and these Oscar nominations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not at all. The highest accolade is the fact that the audiences of the world have both enjoyed and appreciated our take on the world of Middle-earth. Making a film is like weaving an incredibly fine tapestry, and at the end of the day, myself, Tanya, and the Weta Workshop are only weaving a few strands into this incredible tapestry, but every strand is important, and I feel so pleasured that when I am proud, it's a good thing to feel proud that people have enjoyed and appreciated the level that we've tried to take the film to.
Mm-hmm. How about a little background on yourself and how you got started working in films?
Because of the isolation of New Zealand, there's almost no one. That's excluding Peter Jackson, actually. He very much is someone that grew up with film. But there's almost no one in the country that has a sort of a history of loving the B-grade horror movies, going to the flicks in the afternoon, just growing up enjoying this genre because it wasn't really in existence here. I grew up in very, very rural New Zealand on a farm. The nearest cinema was over an hour's train trip away, so the ability to actually get to the cinema was almost nil. So up until the age of about 17, I didn't even appreciate that there was really a film industry in the country. I'd basically taught myself how to sculpt. I had a real desire to want to sculpt for a living, so I taught myself how to sculpt by digging the mud out of the creek on the back of our farm, and just growing up on the farm, making your own fun, being inventive in the tractor shed with bits of contraption, have certainly set my mind and a great deal of the minds of the people in our workshop into the level of inventiveness required to be a special effects technician. 85% of our workshop are from rural upbringings, and I believe it's given us that unique difference that we can bring to the design and the fabrication of our work. My partner Tanya and myself, we've been together for 20 years now. We moved to Wellington, set up a little workshop in the back room of a flat. We just wanted to make stuff, basically. We didn't really appreciate what it would be for. We thought possibly the television industry, shop window display, children's playgrounds, really anything that would give us the ability to create things. Over the years, we met Peter Jackson. We worked on other New Zealand films and television, slowly moving workshops 9 times. After we did Meet the Feebles, Brain Dead, then Heavenly Creatures with Peter. At the tail end of Heavenly Creatures, we had leased one computer to make Heavenly Creatures. We pooled our resources, formed the company Weta Limited, and bought that one computer. We then went on and did The Frighteners. We started trying to make a remake of King Kong, which fell over. We went on and did Contact, a number of other New Zealand films. We did Hercules and Xena for 6.5 years, and then we started on Lord of the Rings, and we've now been on that for going into our 6th year. So that one computer now sits holding doors open with coffee cups on it. From that one computer, we now have over 200 workstations and 250 digital effects technicians.
Well, it certainly seems like, from the very beginnings at least, maybe not the path that most might expect. to get into movies?
Yes, we've been very, very fortunate. The sort of seminal moment in our lives really was meeting Peter Jackson. He was a young guy, just a couple of years older than Tanya and I, that was struggling, trying to make his own movies, and we met each other by total chance. He visited a set that we were working on, and we just immediately saw in each other a camaraderie and a friendship and a desire to be doing exactly the same thing. And, 14, 15 years later, we're still greatly fortunate to be working together and still fortunate to have such a strong friendship after what has been a very, very taxing years making this product.
Now, I've heard before that you and Peter were really good friends. At what point did you guys start talking about the Lord of the Rings project?
It was very amusing because Peter loves to, if any of the listeners have seen Forgotten Silver, it was a spoof documentary that we made about a fictitious filmmaker called Colin Mackenzie. But Peter made this hour-long documentary as if it was totally true. He was reported to be the first person that used colour film, the first person to invent a tracking shot. He had Sam Neill and people like Harvey Weinstein validating the existence of this guy. Well, Peter didn't even tell the crew that it was actually a fictitious character. He led all of us to believe. And so for the first 2 months of working on the project, me being as gullible as I am, I completely bought into the fact that Colin Mackenzie was a real guy. Well, when we started Lord of the Rings, Peter came to us. It was after King Kong had fallen over, and we were all pretty despairing, actually. And he was desperate to try and keep everyone's spirits up. And he came to us and he said, well, everybody, I want to just tell you about what we're hopefully making next. I'm going to try and get the rights to make The Hobbit. And we all thought for easily 6 months that our future was going to be spent making The Hobbit. And just the incredibly daunting thought of even tackling that, a fairly linear story, but still large in scope, knocked us off our feet. To have him turn up 6 months later after negotiating very intensely with Miramax and come back and tell the workshop that, in fact, it's not The Hobbit, it's Lord of the Rings, and
wow.
We better start preparing ourselves for an incredible journey that would span many, many years. Was just truly the greatest day in my life. So it was funny. I knew from the moment he said it what it would entail, and I knew that we were the people to do it. I just knew that we could bring a level of sensitivity and care to the product that was worthy of the work.
And I think you guys accomplished that task beautifully.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, changing gears a little bit, you guys have won all kinds of awards real recently. Can you tell us about the BAFTA awards and, what it was like to get up on stage in front of all those people and accept those, great honors? 2
words. Jennifer Connelly. The greatest thing about the BAFTAs meant that I got to meet Jennifer Connelly. I'm not a starstruck person. We've worked with Liv, who's just a lovely person, and Kate Blanchett and so on. But as so many people listening to this would agree with me, growing up seeing Labyrinth and Jennifer Connelly, so it was lovely. She was utterly delightful. Kevin Spacey came up to us and congratulated us. I got to meet Michael Gambon, one of the great English actors, one of acting in my favourite television show called The Singing Detective, British BBC show. We got to meet a number of wonderful people. Sir Richard Attenborough came up to me and congratulated us on the film, and he was really sweet because he asked me to pass on the congratulations back to the workshop, which is something I constantly try and stress to people I talk to and stress to the guys here, and certainly when I give my thank you speeches, is that no award is won by an individual, not in this process. Even an Olympic gold medal is the result of a huge team of people training that individual. And, it was so lovely for Sir Richard Attenborough to just intuitively know that behind these awards were a huge team of people. It was really, really beautifully done. It was an amazing evening. It's a tribute to the organisers. It ran smoothly. It ran incredibly quickly. If there's anyone listening that is creative, and as I'm sure there are, you'll appreciate this little story, as it's a classic case of the way our minds work. I'm chronically left-handed. I was chronically dyslexic for a number of years of my life, and just a little bit disorganised in my personal life. I arrived in London 4 hours before the BAFTAs started, went to Marks and Spencer's, bought a tuxedo, discovered I didn't have the money to buy the pants, got back to my hotel room, had forgotten my belt, forgotten some cufflinks, or never even worn a pair of cufflinks, so I used the pack strap off my pack to hold my pants up. I had these grody old pants, and I had my speech all figured out in my head. My name was read out. I walked up on stage confident, ready to give my speech, and Stephen Fry, the presenter, came up to me and goes, nice pants. Totally threw me out. So, oh dear. And I got a ribbing when I got home from my state of dress. But, it's all about the process.
So now everyone who's listening to this will be looking for you to look a little disheveled at the Oscars, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's very kind. So a New Zealand designer has offered to come down and make me something for the Oscars, which is nice. So I might try and scrub up a little bit better. So. But it was an amazing night, and it was so lovely to be recognised by our peers at this level too. I was saddened that we didn't take the costume design award. I'm sure that the project that won it was worthy of the award, but to create a totally new, race and species and cultural inheritance in this massive world, the level of detail we went to, the endeavour to try and make it feel as though the world spread beyond the four corners of the movie screen, was a primary task for us. You wanted to feel as though there was culture and cultural inheritance well beyond what you were seeing, and I was saddened for Nyla Dixon, who is the costume designer, and obviously our guys who built all of the suits of armour and so on. But then to be awarded with the makeup and the visual effects was a wonderful delight that I will never forget. The sad thing is that my partner Tanya, who's equally as deserving of the recognition, 50% of the recognition, is unable to travel at the moment because she's 8 months pregnant, so unable to tear around the world. So it's bloody close. We finally get to this place where we get to revel a little bit in the backwash of the film, and it's struck us that she can't travel. So, but anyway,
that's too bad. Kind of you, though.
Yeah, so I've threatened her, if it's a girl it gets called BAFTA, and if it's a boy it's Oscar. Anyway.
Well, I'll shift gears again. I had the honor of teaching you your first game of the Lord of the Rings trading card game last summer at the San Diego Comic-Con.
You certainly did, and you did well considering that we had hardly slept for 8 days. We had Elijah Wood and co, and 8 guys from the Weta Workshop. Tanya and myself all went to San Diego. We'd barely slept because obviously it's a huge party time. We were travelling around in this huge dark windowed black FBI van, which was all good fun, and you'd tanked me up on a couple of beers sitting in the San Diego sun in this warm room. So my ability to have taken in anything was highly improbable. But so the fact that I've remembered it so well, I've gone on to try and explain it to non-gamers, but honestly, because of my lack of knowledge of the gaming system, I couldn't speak with any great level of education on its merits, more than I could see that there was huge enjoyment to be had and incredible complexity in the thought patterns that gone into it. What I can comment on so much more fully is the aesthetic of the game. Mm-hmm. With our work, we try to at all times adopt an antiquity, a feeling that things are steeped in age and culture. And I thought when I finally saw the cards that you were totally bought into that aesthetic, that each little card is a relic in its own right. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but that I'm sure that the designers and the people that have put the packages together have tried to get a richness in every item. And I really felt that when I saw the cards and played the game with you that day.
And since then, you have actually gotten, I believe in New York, Monica gave you a complete set of the cards.
Yep, we all love Monica. I'm sure she must be the most beautiful person working for you guys. What do you reckon?
I would not doubt that one bit.
And she so kindly gave me a complete set of the cards. It's just classic because you guys have managed to access more images than we've ever even seen. Many of the orcs that we created that we've never managed to get stills of are on your cards. So it's a great portfolio for us.
Great. Well, I can tell you that I got a set of the new cards together for you just yesterday and today, and that'll be on its way to you pretty soon. So you get to see 122 new cards.
Oh, fantastic! Well, they'll be carefully inserted into the folder. Monica kindly gave me some French cards as well. As you know, of course, you've printed them in a number of different languages, and my mother-in-law speaks fluent French, so they're going to make a lovely present for her. She'll treasure those. But we cannot get over the foiling. If you explained it to someone, you'd sort of grimace a little and think it's going to look slightly tacky. It doesn't at all. For those of you that haven't seen it, the cards, a set of special collector's cards have been iridescently foiled on highlights, on reflective highlights like water, armor, eyes, sky, trees, and so on. And the effect is just beautiful. We the guys in the workshop spend hours flicking the cards back and forward, looking at the different images.
Right, seeing what parts are foiled and what parts aren't and stuff.
Yeah, really beautiful. They just make it's a beautifully classical look. I was very impressed.
I think our art team has done a really good job, and I'm sure they will love the appreciation that your team has for it. Because
we don't hand it out lightly because we've been incredibly cautious about the way licensees have taken the designs that we've strived so hard to keep as pure as possible and touched with as much Tolkien essence as possible. And there's varying degrees of success to that end, but I do think that these playing cards have captured that.
Excellent. Well, it's got to be on your end rewarding to see a lot of your handiwork captured on the cards as well. And
it is. It's something that you never project your mind out to when you're working on a project, because it's never happened to us before.
Sure.
Of course, there was a little bit of merchandising on Hercules and Xena, but very little of our work. So, to think 3 years ago we were designing these characters, and at Toy Fair I went and stood in the middle of the Toy Biz showroom, and and all around me was these action figures from our designs. It was a really enriching experience, and of course we to a certain degree have been able to control that ourselves through our own collectibles line. I've always had a desire to produce polystone collectibles, and at the end of Lord of the Rings, it gave us the opportunity through our high-end collectibles line with Sideshow Weta.
That's right. You guys have some beautiful stuff. Beautiful
stuff. Thank you.
I've seen, I was in LA recently, and I saw the big display in the window at Puzzle Zoo on the 3rd Street Promenade. You guys did you guys do that display?
Yeah, we built it in Wellington, and then I flew over, and a container came over a couple of weeks earlier, and went down there late one night. It was classic, as I was down on my hands and knees in the window installing the display. I'm sure I had builder's bum cracks showing, and working away, and there was a tap on the window. It was about midnight, and there was a huge horde of people crowded around the window watching, but this person kept tapping, so I finally looked behind me, and there were 5 crew members off the film, and it turns out they were on holiday in Santa Monica, and so they disappeared for 10 minutes, came back with a whole pile of New Zealand beer. So we by that time the toy store had been closed for the night, and so we had a great little party in one of the aisles in this toy store.
That's great.
Great reunion. It was fantastic.
That is
so
great.
Really what I wanted was the opportunity to put a range of collectibles out there that were done by the original artists that designed the film. We think it's a first time it's happened that the sculptors and designers that created the film have gone on to produce the merchandising, and it's been a lovely opportunity for us to continue on with the legacy of making Lord of the Rings.
Great. I have a couple more questions for you. The first one is, I saw your business card. Is the bug on your business card a Weta?
The Weta is a little insect. Well, it's the heaviest insect in the world.
Really?
The common Weta is about the size of your thumb, and we have them throughout our garden at home, but they will grow. The cave Weta gets up to about the size of the palm of your hand. They're totally non-aggressive. They've been around since before the dinosaur. They are frozen to death in winter, only to be reanimated in summer. There's an enzyme in their blood that allows them to be reanimated, and they look like the coolest little monster in the world. So it's the best company to call our name after.
Sure.
It's funny because in New Zealand it means a great deal, and such a significant part of our country's identity. So it's a great name. But I get clients ringing up from the state. So what's this wet A? What's wet A? And
right.
But you got to buy into that.
I was going to ask why you named your company after the bug, but that's a perfect explanation, and it makes total sense. So.
Yeah, it's nice. It's proved to be a very nice name. We're known as the Weta guys on set, and the very first job I did after we named the company Weta, I was on set doing some fairly complex animatronic work. I was unable to lift my hands off the animatronics keyboard that I was driving the puppet on out in the middle of a location, and the stills photographer happened to be standing next to me as this very large Weta, probably 4.5 inches long, proceeded to walk up the back of my neck, around my cap, around the brim of my cap, and then down my nose.
Oh my Lord!
And the whole crew came to a grinding stop. It was because we had just told them all that we'd changed our workshop name from RT Effects to Weta Limited. So it was a very bizarre moment. We had a great one on Lord of the Rings. I'll just quickly tell you this. It's not actually in the film because of what happened, but we were a bit worried that it could be foreboding for us. Luckily, it didn't pay out in this way, but at the very first scene that we ever shot on the very first day was the 4 hobbits hiding underneath the tree on the wooded road as the Black Rider leers over the top of the tree root. And if you remember in the film, as he puts his gloved hand onto the log, the evil energy from his hand drives the insects out of the log. The worms come up out of the ground. Well, there was a moment where we had a Weta burst out of a little hole in the log and scuttle off. The centipede that you see in the shot actually came out of the hole just behind the Weta, reared up, grabbed it, injected it with poison, killed it, and began to eat it. And we saw this on Rushes that night, and we're like, oh my God,
wow.
Is this some sort of evil omen? But fortunately, Weta survived the shoot, and even if the poor insect got devoured on screen. So.
Wow, that's great. That's a great story. To wrap it up, the Oscars are coming up later this month, and best of luck with that. Do you have any predictions for us?
I thank you very much. It's who knows. It's unbelievably stiff competition this year. There is some phenomenal work, regardless of whether people like particular movies or not. To look at the technical expertise that has been invested into some of these films is daunting. All we can hope is that the voting members of the Academy can identify the sensitivity and cohesive nature that we've tried to put into the weaving of this tapestry that I allude to, the fact that we've tried to create a very, very real world, and I hope in some way that touches these people. But we are thrilled with our nominations, and we're thrilled to be invited. And who would have ever thought 5 years ago? So it's just very, very special times for us all here at the Weta Workshop, and I just so appreciate the kind words of encouragement and, the amazing acknowledgement that people have given us from all around the world. We've just had the most amazing amount of correspondence concerning our work on the film. So nothing can beat that, I tell you.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. It really is. And, after working on it for so long, it's so nice to be able to tell people that are interested a little bit about the process. So hopefully there's the opportunity to talk further in the future if people are interested.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that everybody's going to be interested to hear everything they can about what you guys did on the film and the Lord of the Rings in general. So.
Cool. Well, all the best to you all, and I'll catch up with you all soon.
Actually, I'm going to see you, I think, on the 24th in Hollywood.
Great. Good.
So hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay, and all the best from everyone over here in Wellington, New Zealand.
And all the best from everyone here at Decipher.
Cool. Bye-bye then.
Thanks a lot.
So there you have it.
Wow, what a great interview.
Yeah, Richard is just an incredible guy.
Yes, he is. Such a great guy.
And I just met him the once. It's nice of him to
remember you. Yeah, and wow. Anyways,
so everyone out there, be thinking good thoughts for the Oscars at the end of the month.
That's right. Good luck, Richard. All of our hopes are with you.
Until next week.
You're listening to Radio Free Decipher.